Good evening, I'm Robin Scherbatsky.
And I'm Sandy Rivers, and you're watching Metro News 1.
Tonight's top story, an analysis of the expansion of presidential power during the infamous Great Depression.
For all of you who don't know, the Great Depression resulted shortly after the stock market crash of 1929. Unemployment skyrocketed, farms failed, and a man named Franklin Delano Roosevelt became our nation's president.
The public, full of anger after current President Hoover's support of the detrimental Smoot-Hawley tariff, which raised average tariffs raised by 60%, readily welcomed Roosevelt into office. Shortly after taking office, Roosevelt started America on an entirely new course that enlarged the president's role in economic affairs to meet public demand for action in response to the Depression. With his nationwide popularity and groundbreaking progressive policies, it was soon made clear to Congress that supporting him was the only road to re-election.
He began his term in office with the first 100 days, a period that saw the rapid passage of new legislation. This included the creation of several alphabet agencies. For example, the AAA, the Agricultural Adjustment Agency, or the CCC, the Civil Conservation Corps, or the PWA, the Public Works Administration. These agencies expanded the reach of government, the federal government, and in turn the president, because more and more the public's lives went under the scrutiny and regulation of the government.
Another significant act that FDR and Congress passed was the Emergency Banking Relief Act. This act gave the president control over exchange rates and all bank transactions. In other words, FDR ruled the nation and the nation's banks. Part of FDR's tremendous success as president derives from the confidence he restored in the public. They viewed him as a hero in a time of crisis.
His popularity also gave him the support of Congress. Who would vote against a man who seemed to be single-handedly fighting off the terrors of the Great Depression?
So, I think the real question is, was FDR's expansion of power a blessing or a curse?
We have to consider what was happening in America at the time. Most Americans were struggling to feed their families or even keep their homes.
And FDR did, after all, take the people's desperate outlook on life and renew their hope. And he did begin to bring the nation back to work. Because of this, I believe that it was entirely appropriate for FDR to act as he did. It was not an abuse of power, but a necessary action in a time of national need.
However, should this extreme case of the Great Depression serve as a precedent for future leaders who may not be facing the same social or economic trouble FDR had to deal with? Today, people often compare Obama's economic goals and the recession the U.S. is currently facing with the Great Depression and FDR's New Deal. They most frequently conclude that what may have been necessary during FDR's time would now be oppressive in America. Some even believe that Obama's plans, even though they are similar to the New Deal, would lead the country into socialism and away from democracy.
So I think that what we conclude is that in a time of crisis such as the Great Depression, a strong and capable leader is beneficial for the situation, and the expansion of power was actually a positive attribute. However, in less extreme situations, such as those of recent times, I think we need to watch just how much power we are handing over to the president. This excessive power may be poorly received and even unnecessary.
I agree, Robin. We will have to continue to watch and see if and how President Obama adds to the legacy of expanding presidential power in times of economic crisis. Thank you for watching Metro News 1 tonight. I'm Sandy Rivers.
And I'm Robin Scherbatsky. Have a great night.
Be bad because although it would allow the government to take some action with it, which they've been struggling with, ultimately it's probably not good to give Obama complete power, even though I like Obama.
Well, it doesn't jive with the American political system and the separation of powers. I would imagine for something like that to make sense, we'd have to be in some really crazy extreme condition, and potentially if that were, we're on the brink of something that might make sense again, but it certainly doesn't seem to make any sense right now, despite the fact that Congress is currently showing us how inept they really are.
one more bad decision in a long line of bad decisions the Obama administration has done, because it's government interference that got us in this trouble in the first place, and government interference is not going to fix it.
I think the act is a good idea because it will help regulate the amount of loans that our country gives out to people, and it'll be cool and stuff.
Now, I don't think it's a good idea for presidents to have that much power, considering that, no.
Karya, how would you feel if the Emergency Banking Act was reinstated?